All right, dude, we are live. What's up, guys? This is Dem Keys, and today we are going to continue working on the auto clipper. Give me a second here. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna continue. Oh, accidentally hit mic, my mic stand. Yeah, okay. So, um, yeah, like I was saying, we're gonna continue working on the auto clipper, and since yesterday, I have definitely made progress. Yesterday we hold on. Yesterday we sat down and discussed some ideas for hold on. Here I can this is all that we discussed, that we would have a vod titles .json file. We would have basically we would have a more structured way of um, showing the vod titles, and then oh yeah, we would also have a metadata .json file for each vod. And the metadata is basically the title, the summary, and the tags. The summary and the tags are going to be generated by an LLM, which also I've been doing research on because there was something that I was concerned about, which I spoke to Gemini about, and Gemini actually um, gave some good suggestions, which at some point later I'm going to be looking into not those suggestions, one specific suggestion within that list, which is a library called Outlines. This library allows you to force the LLM's output structure to be a certain thing. It allows you to force the LLM to give you output in a specific format, in a specific structure. Because something that, if you have used LLMs before, something that you might have noticed is that they tend to they tend to be very chatty. They tend to add in a bunch of extra text here and there, a bunch of extra info here and there. And while that's great for the purpose of having a conversation, if you are trying to use this LLM as a part of a pipeline where you feed it some input and it's supposed to give you very structured output. It's supposed to give you output that follows a very specific format, a very specific structure. If you are in that kind of a situation, you will have problems because the LLM is not always gonna follow that structure. It will give you, like, let's say you told it to generate some test JSON data. It will give you the JSON data that you're looking for, but it's going to additionally add in some text at the begin at words. It's going to additionally add in some text at the beginning that says something like, "Sure, here's your data, XYZ formatted in JSON and whatever," and then it'll give you the JSON data itself, and then below that, before the message ends, um, it'll also have some closing statements. Let me know if you need something, or maybe it might ask you some kind of question or something. I've had this happen with Gemini plenty of times. With something like Gemini CLI, I could give it very specific instructions that, write so and so data to a JSON file or an MD file or whatever file. Write so and so data to a file, and then it's going to write that data to the file, and all of its extra fluff is just going to be within its response. So that works out fine, right? I'm looking for something where I tell the LLM to give me the output in a specific format, and I get it in that format. And Outlines apparently does help you with that. There was another one which I am having trouble remembering the name of. But like looking at both of these, I noticed that between the two of them, it seemed like Outlines was something I wanted to try out more. First of all, because it seems to be more widely adopted, and it seems to be supporting a whole bunch of other libraries as well, a whole bunch of other, let's say, platforms, including Hugging Face transformers. So if you have language models that you're trying to load with Hugging Face transformers, which is exactly what I'm planning on doing, you can plug in outlines into that and basically get the LLM to give you the output in a way that you are looking for. So this makes your output more deterministic, and that is very important if you are trying to make an LLM a part of a pipeline. Give me a second. Let me open up my stream. Also, we seem to be doing okay so far in terms of internet speed, which I was a bit concerned about because due to certain reasons, I've been having a few speed issues here and there, though it seems to me like it's affecting my download speed, not my upload speed right now. Which is great for this purpose because, you know, streaming, uploading, so it's great for that purpose. Anyways, I've made progress since yesterday. After yesterday's stream, I continued doing more research and brainstorming how I wanted to go about doing this. And here's what I came up with. What I decided is, let me go into Yahtzee. Okay, so I have a couple of extra things here. I don't think I need this. Some root. I need temp bundles. What I'll do is I'll place it into, I don't need this either. Let's create a temp directory and move these two in here. So we're gonna ignore temp. Actually, should I? Yeah, it's fine. So we're gonna have a data folder, right? The project is, oh, speaking of internet problems, our internet problems seem to have started. So give me a second here. I need to do stuff that is going to stabilize the connection. Okay. Let's pause this. And I think we are good now. Hopefully we're able to do at least an hour worth of streaming before it becomes unstable again, or even worse, crashes. Hopefully we're able to do at least an hour worth of stream. Anyways, okay. So this is what our data, our directories are going to look like. Initially, when you set up the project, you have to make sure that there's a data directory, which is this. In the data directory, you have to create 4 directories: video, audio, text, and metadata. These are empty directories at this point. Additionally, you have to also, I haven't done that here yet, but additionally, you also need to create a bundles directory. And that can just be an empty directory, but it has to be in the root directory, in the root folder. Right. So you place your videos into the video directory, and then let me go over to the README. So you place your videos in the video directory, and then first you run the audio extraction script. You extract all the audio. I can just remain in Yahtzee itself. What is this? Oh, okay. This is a electronics course prompt. Okay, so you place your videos inside the video directory, and then you run the batch audio extract script. That's going to extract the audio from every single video that you've placed here, and it's going to place the audio into this directory, which is the audio directory. So for every MP4, you're going to have one audio file. Okay, great. Then you run the batch audio transcribe script. Yeah, you run the batch audio transcribe script, which does transcription. Sorry, zoned out. Okay, what was I saying? Yeah. So then you once you have your audio, you run the batch audio transcribe script, which is going to run automatic speech recognition on all of the audio files, and for each audio file, it's going to generate a transcript and store that into a JSON file. And so each of those JSON files will be stored into this, the text directory. Once you have your transcripts, you then call. At that point, I believe we. Oh yeah, then you have to generate the metadata. So you then call batch generate metadata. I think that's what I've called it. Hold on. Yeah, batch generate metadata. You run that. That's going to go over every single transcript file and pass that entire transcript, just the text portion. In that case, it's going to pass every single transcript through an LLM, which is going to generate a summary and a set of tags. And additionally, maybe I might get it to generate a title. I haven't decided yet. I kind of want to stick with the titles that I'm creating, which is why I have to add in this extra bit of code to this extra bit of code to check the vod titles.txt file. I should actually call it vod titles.json, not txt, because it's going to be JSON data. Sorry, zoned out. Okay. So once our summary and tags and the title as well, but in this case we are not generating the title, we are pulling the title from somewhere else. The title, the summary, and the tags together make up the metadata for that specific file. So once we have the metadata, which is going to be in a dictionary, we'll then serialize that metadata dictionary to JSON and write that to a separate file. So then for every transcript file, we're going to have one metadata file, and basically for every audio, for every video, for every MP4, we're going to have one metadata file. Then what we do is we run batch build bundles, which is basically going to generate the bundles for us. What it does is let me go back to Yahtzee so I can show you. It's going to go into the video folder and it's going to read all of the file names, and then based on those names, it's for each of those names, it's gonna go into the audio folder and pick out the relevant audio file, go into the text folder and pick out the relevant text file, and go into the metadata folder and pick out the relevant metadata file. So we have 4 files for every VOD. We have the video file itself, the MP4. We have the audio, which is a wave. We have the audio transcript, which is a JSON, and we have the VOD metadata, which is also JSON. So what it's going to do then is the script is going to create the script is going to create a directory with the name of the VOD file, and it's going to place all four of those VODs, not VODs, all four of those files into that directory. So this way, for every single VOD, you have one directory that contains four files. And so every single directory that you have there is a separate directory for a VOD. And to test out that code, I've been doing this. I should have just showed it to you in like through this. Actually, okay, wait. I think I have the thing set up to where I can. Okay, batch build bundles. What's the. Because I did change some of this. Okay, so it's data slash temp data. Okay, so let's go into NeoVim. Data slash temp. This is the code that I was working on. Thanks to Gemini, I got an idea of how to go about, traversing the directory and finding file names, and I found easier ways to work with bots and more, what do you call it? More cross-platform ways. Because, for example, there can be differences between how Windows handles directory paths, file paths, versus how Linux handles file paths. One major difference is that in Linux you can use forward slash, but on Windows you have to use backslash. Sorry, zoned out. Okay, what was I? Oh yeah. In here we're gonna do, oh yeah, we have to change this as well. Temp, and then that's gonna be temp bundles. In the data directory, we have video. I did also write this script to generate some fake data that I can, test out the bundle generation script with. So I'm just going to run that real quick. We don't have any of this data here. So you can see, if you look on the right side, all of these directories are empty. They don't have anything. So you can't see anything on the right side either. We're going to run this script, and okay, that's odd. What just happened? Created files for 10 prefixes. Okay, but where did it get stored? Oh god, it recreate. Wait, back up. Did I not save the script? Oh, I didn't change the directory here. Yeah, okay, it created the thing in the wrong directory. That's fine. I deleted the thing there, and now, yeah, now we should see it. So these are our video files. These are just fake video files. There's, uh, I got the script to just create a file with the MP4 extension, and it's an empty file. It doesn't have anything. This is mainly for testing out the logic of copying directories and reading files, reading directories, not reading files, but like reading file names and stuff. Not actually doing something with the file data. So it can be an empty file. That's perfectly fine. Sorry, zoned out. Okay. So yeah, we've created we've created video files, and for each video file, we've also created, a corresponding audio file. And for each audio file, we've also created a corresponding text file. And then for each video file, we've also created, or for each, we can say, basically for each VOD, for each name, we've created a video file, an audio file, a text file, or a transcript file, and a metadata file. We've created 4 files for every single name that we have in our list. In this case, the list of names is just VOD 01, 02, 03, all the way up to 10. Okay, so this is our test data. We've created this data. Now I'm going to run another script that, let me delete all this so we can regenerate it. I'm going to run a script that's going to basically create bundles out of these VODs. What it's going to do is like what I mentioned before, for every single name. So it's going to go through this entire video directory, and it's going to read the names of the files minus the extension. By the way, yesterday, while working on this script, I was introduced to a library called pathlib, and I'm kind of glad that I found out about this. And it's all thanks to Gemini, by the way. I'm kind of glad that I found out about this, because otherwise I would have been using the older methods, which was like os.path and stuff like that. Pathlib actually does have a lot of, let's say, niceties. There's a bunch of things that you can do. Once you define a path, you can then create another path. But they've created the syntax, or they repurposed, let's say, the division operator in an interesting way. Is there an example of that here? Yeah, look at this. So target directory in this case is supposed to be, where have I defined target directory? Oh no, not target directory, base data directory. Base data directory, you can see I created a path object here, representing the path itself, and that's pointing to our temp data directory, which is data/temp/temp data, right? And this is in the root directory. So this entire thing, this path object represents this path. I can then do something like this, where I just add a slash, and keep in mind there's no, like, notice there's no double quotes or anything, just a forward slash, and then a folder in this case is the name of the folder. So it's one of these. Yeah, it's one of these. It could be video, audio, text, or metadata, which is another interesting thing that I don't think I've used as often as I should. But like this is how you iterate over the items of a dictionary. So in the future, I'm definitely going to be using something like this. But yeah, anyways, yeah, you can do something like this to form a new path. So you can do base data directory slash your whatever your folder name is, and it's going to generate a new path for you. So if we look at the type of this, you'll notice it says path, and then you can use that path for anything. And the great thing here is, you've created the path, right? Then you can do something like this. You can call makedir to, oh God, chill out. Chill out. Holy shit. Okay, great. Thank you. Camilla, thank you. Yeah. Sorry, hold on. I'm just adjusting the volume. I have Camilla's stream running on another machine. She decided to do something silly with the mic. Okay, all right. What was I saying? Yeah, so you can do interesting stuff here. Like you could, for example, you could make the directory. So the path itself is separate from from like what exists, like whether it exists or not, you can still create a path object, and then you can call makedir to make the directory if it doesn't exist. There's other stuff as well where you can create like an empty file if you have a file path. You can also create, you can also delete files using an unlink. Hold on, can I show it here? File path dot unlink. Yeah, removes this file or link. If the path is a directory, use rmdir instead. I didn't know about that one, but good thing I found out about it now. But yeah, this is a way to delete the file, and there's more interesting stuff that you can do with pathlib. So I'm glad that I found out about this. I'm glad that I'm looking more into like the vibe coding side of things. Something that I purposely did is I asked Gemini, I explained to Gemini that, hey, this is the situation, this is what I'm trying to do. How do I accomplish this? Gemini gave me a bunch of, so for example, this script that was generated, I didn't want to spend too much time thinking about this logic, because this script was quite literally to generate garbage data. It was to generate this test data that doesn't do anything. My God, can you stop doing that? Okay, thank you, Camilla. Okay, okay. Sorry, what was I? What was I? Um, yeah. So this script is mainly to generate fake data, and I didn't want to spend like an hour or 2 hours trying to figure out the logic to create this fake data. So I just got Gemini to generate the logic for me. I explained the entire thing. I explained the directory structure and all, and that took me like maybe just 5 minutes or something to explain the entire thing properly. And Gemini gave me a, a block of code, a code snippet, and explained the what the code is doing, and then I just made some changes of my own based on, you know, what I thought needed to be changed, namely the file name and the directory path. I mainly changed those things. I didn't need to change anything else. I did go through the entire logic to understand what's going on, and then I was able to generate my test data. So this is one instance in which I'm using vibe coding, and it's incredibly helpful. It's a huge time saver. And then another instance was this one. Hold on, where it was this, the batch build bundle. Gemini showed me its own version of this, and rather than copying the entire thing, because I didn't want to just copy the entire code snippet as it is. I wanted to understand what the code is doing. Something that I've noticed is if I'm vibe coding, then I'm basically, you know, just copy pasting the code snippets and maybe making minor changes here and there. So I won't necessarily remember how that system is working. I might like glance over the code, and in the moment I'll understand that, oh yeah, this is doing so and so thing. But I feel like I'm not going to remember it in like when I come back and look at the code tomorrow, for example. However, if I take the time to actually code that system, even if I'm copying what Gemini did, but if I take the time to code that myself, and of course, you know, make my own small changes here and there, but like the main meat of it, the main work has already been done by Gemini. If I take the time to write out the code myself and understand it that way, then even tomorrow, if I come back and look at the code, I'm going to remember what exactly the thing was doing. And it's less about remembering. It's more about being able to just quickly figure out, hey, this is what this code was doing or is doing right now. I feel like I get a better understanding of it if I'm coding the thing myself, as opposed to getting Gemini to, you know, generate a whole bunch of code and then just blindly copying it. That's just my way of thinking. I prefer to know exactly what my scripts are doing, what the various systems are doing. I'm still going to take help from Gemini um, to tell me that, hey, I want to accomplish so and so thing. How do I do it? And then Gemini tells me, hey, this is one way you could do it. That is another way you could do it. That is another way. Here's the pros and cons and so on. And then I can choose whichever one I want. I would prefer to do my coding in that way rather than just blindly copy pasting the code. So like vibe coding does help me out to a certain extent. It's definitely a time saver. Like I wouldn't use it for building entire systems. Um, at least not yet. I wouldn't use it to build entire systems. For one, the reason is because it's nowhere near ready to do that. Any of the coding assistants at this point in time, I don't even the ones that you can pay a lot of money for. I wouldn't say they are ready to build production ready systems. So like you shouldn't just be blindly trusting whatever they are building, and you shouldn't just be blindly believing that there's not going to be security holes or vulnerabilities or whatever in the system. Where was I going with this? I kind of like just branched off. Um, where was I going with this? Well, yeah, okay. Gemini has saved a lot of time for me. Vibe coding has saved a lot of time for me. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, zoned out. So, vibe coding in general has definitely saved me a bunch of time of figuring things out and doing trial and error and stuff like that. So I'm glad that I've got Gemini now to, or rather I'm glad that I'm using vibe coding to improve my workflow. I still I'm still going to stick with, building the systems myself. And if it's like a bigger snippet of code, I would prefer to implement it myself. Implement what Gemini is telling me to implement. Um, However, still implement it myself, just so that I get just so that I get a better understanding of what exactly is going on in the code. I forgot where I was going with this, but yeah. Oh, yeah, I was supposed to run the script. So, where is it? Here. In this case, we are. Oh, I thought I had run the thing, but I guess not. Batch build build bundles. So if you look here, we have all of this data, right? For every single name. So for example, for VOD one, there's one video, one text, one audio, and one metadata, right? There's four files for every single name. And so if there's 10 names, then there's 40 files in total. Okay. So far our bundles directory is empty because this data has not been bundled yet. So what we're going to do now is bundle it. This is empty. Let's run the script. You can see the thing has run. It's done generating, not even generating. All it did was move the files around. Just for the sake of being on the safer side, I'm not doing move. I'm doing copy and then delete. So once the copy is successful, then it deletes the original file. So if we go back to temp data right now, there's no data here. The data was copied over into this, and this is what our bundles look like. Um, that's it. This is the bundle generation process. So this is what should happen after the metadata has been generated. So at the next thing I need to do is work on the metadata part. which I need to use an LLM for. Rather than using individual NLP related models, I'm just going to use, or rather than using individual NLP related models that are meant for specific tasks, I'm just going to use an LLM and give it very specific instructions that, hey, I want you to do so and so, so and so, so and so, because at least according to Gemini, in most cases, an LLM is able to outperform a bunch of those other models, not in performance, but in the quality of the response. So, in the quality of the work that it's doing, it is able to outperform those models because it has been trained on much, much more data than those models. So, those models, they might seem a little more robotic, while an LLM would have a little more personality. The response would have a little more personality, and it's going to know about various things. Like, for example, I'm just going to throw an example out there: pop culture, for example. This could be one of the things that the language the LLM might know about because it has been trained on like tons and tons of data from the internet, right? One of the specialized NLP models might also be trained on similar kind of data, but not, I don't think it would be trained on nearly the same amount of data. And so I don't know how well, how good the quality of the response is going to be. So if I'm looking for something creative, like in this case, like this is a great, this is actually an amazing example of something that requires a bit of creativity in the response. Like, okay, here's a massive video transcript. Based on this transcript, I want you to generate a summary of this of this transcript, a summary of what this stream was about, and in this summary, make sure to use a lot of SEO words to boost the SEO of the video. So basically, the summary that you're generating, it should help the algorithm, or it should make the algorithm push this video out to more people. And then a similar thing with tags as well. Though I'm gonna have to. I don't think I need. Um, I don't think I necessarily need an LLM to generate the tags. I'm gonna have to write my own simple rule-based system because I don't want to have like a flood of tags in there. I would prefer I would prefer to write a sort of rule-based system to decide which tags to put in. I could probably have like a score kind of thing. I could do that. I could do that. I could have a score kind of thing, and I could get Gemini to give me SEO tags as well, like single word tags, because these are hashtags that are going in a YouTube video. Well, anyway, so I have to work on that metadata part. Once that is worked on, once that is done, I oh God, we disconnected. We disconnected. Hold on. Are we okay? Okay, I think no. OBS is saying reconnecting. Maybe it's just showing the message late. Successful. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, the VOD is still intact, so that's good. We didn't lose the disconnect protection. I also reduced the load on my connection at the right time. But yeah, this is what our bundles are going to look like. The bundles are going to have a VOD or a video file as an MP4, and they're going to have audio. They're going to have the transcript. of the audio, and they're going to have the metadata associated with the VOD. Further from that point, we have two things that we have to do. We have to generate clips, and we have to upload the VOD. Uploading the VOD is going to use it's going to use the metadata, which is going to be the title, the summary, and the tags. And based on that, it's gonna generate, based on that and a specific template that I'm following, it's gonna generate. Hold on, I need to look into something. I just realized this. Because I have a specific date format that I follow, and I need a way to extract the date from that format. Hold on. Let's open this in a new tab. That did not open in a new tab. Okay. Right. Okay, I have a collection of date strings, but they are written in a very unique way. 03/01/2026 is written as 03/01/2026. I need, oh, I think in datetime parse, I could probably pass in a specific datetime string, because there's a date format string that you pass in which you can specify the date format and the time format, because usually you have like date and time going together, but like it's not necessary always, but like the functionality, it tends to be bundled in one thing. So in this case, if we are parsing a datetime object, or a datetime, sorry, string, we could use a specific date format specifier, which, yeah, I think that's what Gemini is also going to suggest, because there's that's exactly what you would use to parse other date times, like when you have proper separators. In my case, what I do, let me go into NeoVim, and which file should I show it in? Let's just do some. Okay, so if we are talking about a date like this, for example, 3rd of January 2026, I would write it like this in the VOD title, and that's also how I save the Twitch VOD. So like eventually, once the stream is over and I download the VOD, I save it with this name, 03/01/2026, and then it would be .mp4. So this is how this is also how the bundles are going to be created. Like every single VOD is going to look like this. Additionally, there might be something like this in case if the in case if there are two streams on that day, or if the stream crashed and restarted, and then I had to what was I saying? Yeah, in case the stream crashed and restarted, and then I had to split up the VOD into, or the VOD did end up getting split up into two separate videos, then I would write it like this. For now though, okay, I need to wait. Let me see what Gemini is saying. I need a way to parse the latter in Python. Okay, dealing with flat date strings, like, oh, these are called flat date strings. Okay, I didn't know that. Did I say I didn't note that? I didn't know that. Okay. Dealing with flat date strings like so and so is a common task in data cleaning. Since your format doesn't have delimiters like dashes or slashes, Python needs to know exactly which digits represent the day, month, and year. The most robust way to handle this is using the built-in datetime module, the strptime method. Okay, string parse time function is your best friend here. You provide the string and the format mask that tells Python how to read it. Okay, all right. Right, day, month, 4-digit, year. Okay, so based on what Gemini is saying, yeah, I can test the thing out. Hold on. Next buffer. Where was this? Oh yeah, this is a different thing that I was working on. This actually here I was kind of concerned that maybe the transcripts might not be in order, but it turns out that after Python 3.7, they became deterministic. They became ordered. So the order in which you create the dictionary, or the order in which you have created the keys of the dictionary, that's the order that they're going to be presented in. I was also wondering about the order of lists, and lists are definitely, they have a specific order, the order in which you have placed the items. Um, oh, additionally, I found out about how to use the sorting method on I believe this is a list. Yeah, on the list, and it's kind of interesting because what I'm sorting it based on is this is like it's like um, levels deep. I would have had to create like a separate data structure to actually do the sorting, but in this case, I think this is already handling that complex thing for me. Um, what this is doing is, so we have a list of dictionaries, and each of those dictionaries has two keys. One of those keys, which is a timestamp key, is a list of integers. So we have a list with with we have a list of dictionaries where each dictionary itself contains a list and a string, and I want to sort the dictionaries in the list, or I want to sort the entire list based on the first item which is in the list in the dictionary. So you see how there's like, it's like a nested kind of thing, right? And I was wondering how I would go about doing this. I'd already started like coming up with ideas for how to go about doing it, and then Gemini voice crack. Gemini gave me this really simple thing where you can provide an anonymous function to um, have it do the, well, provide an anonymous function to the sort method. Right. I was supposed to be doing something else. I just remembered that. So we're gonna keep pprint, and okay, a equals 0301 2026. Oh yeah. What was the thing? From datetime, import datetime. Okay, parsed date equals datetime dot strp time. Okay, pa equals um, datetime dot strp time dm and y. Okay, so this is basically our parsed thing, which seems to be giving an error. Wait, it takes in, oh, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, it requires the string itself. We can also then print out this. This is O3, isn't it? Yeah, it's O3. Okay. Yeah, there it is. So this is how we can parse the date, and then I can write the date as well, because I usually add the date in the description as well. I say this is, Twitch VOD, um, Twitch VOD archive for so and so date, and yeah. So this can be yet another like dynamic thing in the upload script. I'm glad that YouTube has they've given the entire like upload script words. They've given the entire upload script. There is a bit of a setup to do there, so it's a good thing that they gave the script. What I can do is I can just copy that script and modify it for my purpose, because they have created the script in a way that makes it so you can call this script and pass in arguments, including the file path, and then it's just going to start the upload for you, which is great. That's amazing, right? It makes things super easy. And yeah, it makes things super easy. In my case, though, I don't, um, well, okay, I was about to say I don't need to call a script, but that's not true. I am going to be calling a script. But I need the script to do a couple of extra things. So I'm just going to be modifying their code. The main code for uploading, that remains the same. I'm not going to be touching any of that. It's the data that's going to be passed in that I'm going to be changing, and how the data is passed in, how the data is parsed, um, extra data that's required, all of that extra stuff I'm going to be adding on top. But I'm glad that they've provided the base requirement. Give me a second here. I can show it to you guys here. They've given, and this makes it like super easy. I was worried that I would have to look into how to use the API and understand a bunch of things, but it seems like the only thing I need to do is make sure that I have the OAuth token, and there's a specific like file setup they require for that. I think I'm gonna look for a more how do I say this? I think I'm gonna look for a more secure way to do what they are, because they want the credentials to be within a file, and that file to be within the same like directory where the script is being run. I don't know if I can change that, because if I can change that, then I will. Better yet, if I can store that information using Linux's um, key, I think it's called a key vault. They have like a password service in which you can store like key value pairs, and it's like a secure vault kind of thing. It's really interesting looking into that, because it's a system that runs within Linux in the background, and I don't think it's like a constantly running. I don't remember the full details surrounding it, but there were like multiple ways to go about like using it, and for every language you tend to usually have a library that can access this vault, so you can use it to record record new key value pairs on there, and you can also use it to read key value pairs. And I need to look into the security surrounding this, like how exactly are they preventing other apps from reading something after because I was having a conversation with Gemini about it, and then I kind of got distracted with some other stuff, and I think at one point the machine that I was having the conversation on, it um it crashed. So, or maybe it was just the Kitty terminal that had to crash, that had to close. and so I lost that conversation. But that's fine. I can open up a new conversation with Gemini. Hold on. Let me make sure we are good. Yeah, we're good so far. What was I? Oh, YouTube um, data API upload example. Or upload sample, I guess. Give me a second, let this thing load, and then I'll switch away from BRB. Um, Hold on. Is this done? Yeah, let's also zoom out a little bit. So, yeah, this is better. So let's. Sorry about that. I'm having some lag issues. Also, I'm excited to get this. Holy shit! I almost clicked on stop streaming instead of transition. That's crazy, dude. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have this have the upload process become automated, and also have the data generation process be automated, because at this point in time it kind of seems like it's the right way to go, especially if I'm having to, do repetitive steps again and again. Because after having to do the transcript thing multiple times, as in, okay, let me be clear. After after generating summaries for some of my VODs that are already uploaded on YouTube, after generating summaries a couple of times, as in for a couple of VODs, it became clear to me that I need to find a way to automate this process. And I just wasn't able to think of a decent way to go about doing it. However, once I started working on the auto clipper pipeline, it just naturally the pipeline naturally developed into, or well, my way of thinking made it develop into such a pipeline that can be easily offloaded to the cloud if required. That is why I have multiple scripts here, not just one script. So like, if you look at the number of scripts here, there's already if you look at the batch scripts alone, there's just four separate scripts. So there's four separate stages that you have to go through. And the reason I've done this is, well, there are multiple reasons, but one of the reasons is that this allows me to just offload this entire thing onto, let's say, a Kaggle notebook, and I can run it there very easily just by changing the input and output paths. Everything else just remains the same. So yeah, it just so happened that this pipeline that I'm developing, I managed to find a way to make this. I managed to find a way to make this flexible enough and introduce, cloud computing into it. Because of which now I'm able to bring in the uploading thing and also have that benefit from the cloud computing thing. Yeah, yeah. So now it's not going to be, um, what was I saying? Yeah, now it's not going to be manual uploading, which, by the way, was also tedious. Words was also tedious. It was very tedious. It still is, but like I do it. It's just like a very repetitive process. Um, in this case, I can, and it's not just the upload. So like I would do the upload, right? And then if I want to do the whole thing with, generating a summary with like SEO and stuff, then I would have to copy this video and feed it into, or feed the link into Gemini. And if YouTube has auto generated the transcript by that point in time, then Gemini is going to read the transcript and generate something for me. I have had rare occasions where Gemini was just giving me garbage. There was like one specific video. I wish I could remember which one it was, but there was one specific video in which Gemini was not giving me any responses relating to the video, or it wasn't generating any sort of summary or any sort of catchy um, uh, video caption or anything relating to the video. It was generating, for some reason, Gemini thought it was looking at some CSGO stream. Like it was giving me the most generic response that it would give to some CSGO gameplay montage video kind of thing. That was odd, but like I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if by that point in time, for whatever reason, the transcript wasn't yet generated. But in this case, I'm generating the transcripts myself, so I know that they're going to be accurate. And I'm also then generating the summary myself. Uh, I I think something that I should add to the workflow is seeing the entire video description along with like all the settings and stuff as the upload is going on. Or I could have a log I could have log files created for every single upload that I'm doing, and then I can open up the log file and look at the data for the video. Just very relevant data, that like data that I usually look at mainly when I upload the video. What I The stuff that I have to change, because I don't really play around with any of the other settings. I leave all of the other settings to their default. Though if I'm doing it through the API, I might need to just um, recheck those defaults. Yeah, I'll have to see what those, like what settings I'm able to do when I'm doing it through the API. Anyways, when I am uploading it manually, the settings that I do change, or the details that I do change, are the video title. Sorry about that. Yeah, I changed the video title, the video description, definitely, because that's going to have a bunch of information. And then there's an option whenever you upload a video. Years ago, YouTube had to do this thing where they would make you specify whether the video was geared towards kids or not. And that can be kind of confusing for people if you don't know the history behind it, because you will be a little surprised about you would be a little confused about what exactly that means. What they're really asking is this content geared specifically towards kids, right? They're not asking if it's adult content. They are asking, is this content geared specifically towards kids? And if your content is not geared specifically towards kids, then obviously you select no. So by default, um, actually, no, I was about to say by default, no is selected, but I just remembered they don't select anything by default. So they make you select something. I just remembered that. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, in my case, obviously it's no. But yeah, the reason why I'm saying that it can be a bit confusing because is because when somebody asks you that question, like, is this content made for kids? I don't know. Like a lot of people's minds would go towards, like they would think, is the platform asking whether my content is 18 plus content? And usually when you say 18 plus content, then that can entail, a couple of other things, a lot of other things, and people might not be comfortable with saying that, that is the case because they might be worried that, oh, the video might get restricted or demonetized or whatever other things that YouTube does when they don't like a specific video. Um, so yeah, that whole thing can be like very confusing if you don't know the history behind why those settings are there. But like, yeah, if you're not making content that's geared specifically towards kids, like, kids content, like I don't even know what examples to give, songs and stuff, kids shows, like whatever. I don't know. I don't watch any of that content, so I don't know what kind of content it is. But you get what I'm saying, like kids shows, stuff geared towards like babies and kids and stuff like that. Um, if your content is not geared towards babies and kids, then select no. So yeah, in my case, that's no. So that's one thing, that's one of the other things that I have to specify there. So it's the title, it's the video description, it's that, is it specifically meant for kids, and yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Further from that point, I can just skip all of the other pages that are there and select public because I want the thing to be published immediately after it has been, uploaded and processed and checked. There is also that checking process that happens, but like I don't have to do anything there. Um, as long as everything is fine and the check is completed successfully and, YouTube didn't find any issues, we should be good to go. But yeah, the main three, three things that I have to set, because I don't even set tags in the videos. I do set hashtags because the hashtags they do count a bit towards SEO, but the tags themselves, like even YouTube is saying at this point that video tags don't really count towards your SEO. Um, if you want good SEO, then add a good description. Describe what the video is about. And that's where summary comes in. So I'm going to have the summary be auto generated. So that helps boost the video. If everything goes well, we should have a semi automated pipeline, and hopefully the VODs should be getting pushed out to more people. And then I'm going to need to continue working on the. Actually, okay, now that I think about it, if I'm anyways using LLMs, or one LLM in this case, if I'm anyways using an LLM to accomplish a bunch of the, NLP related tasks, why would I not use an LLM? Actually, the reason to not use an LLM for the auto clipping stuff is mainly because due to how often I'm going to be doing it, like it's going to be a lot. Like wait, hold on. Just a second. There's something that I need to do. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, the with the clipping stuff, I feel like I would need to do a mix of bare bones NLP, or well, a mix of, they're all gonna be, I'm gonna be using a bunch of like transformer based um NLP models for like specific tasks. But then I could also ask Gemini to, yeah, because like I mean, Gemini would be able to accomplish that, right? If you're wondering what I'm talking about, I'm talking about this. So you can see the scrolling. Yeah, you can. Okay. I had asked Gemini about this. First, I asked Gemini to explain these six things to me, these six tasks in NLP that I felt would be beneficial for me to understand. Zero shot classification, sentence similarity, summarization, text classification, token classification, and text ranking. Now, the last three, I haven't fully understood them, and I haven't like understood the full extent. Or, well, I guess text classification to a certain extent, I understand it. But okay, zero shot classification is when you give the model, so you give the model the text, which is your input, and then you also give it certain labels that um, it's supposed to categorize this text under. So what the model is going to do is it's going to then return probability scores, assigning a probability score to each of those labels. Okay, great. That's zero shot classification, and the major advantage there is that you are able to specify the labels yourself, and then the model is going to tell you that, hey, okay, based on the labels that you, and I'm guessing this is how it works because this is the explanation that I've been given so far. I haven't tested it out practically. I do need to test it out at some point. I will be testing it out at some point. Okay, then you have sentence similarity. This tells you how similar one sentence is to another, and this can help you with like um, deciding whether a certain topic is currently being spoken about. If you have like multiple sentences, you can decide whether each of those sentences all belong to the same topic, as in are we still in that same topic of discussion, or have we moved on to something else. There are multiple other ways that you can use sentence similarity, but this is one of the ways. Then you have summarization, which is basically just getting a summary of what this entire big blob of text is, and that's kind of what I'm going to be using as well, for our summary thing. Then you have text classification, which is where, from my understanding, the model is going to give you a couple of labels um, to classify what this text is, or what this text would be categorized under. So you don't give it labels. You don't give it labels. Um, the model gives you labels and then gives you some probability scores. I could be wrong about that. I haven't looked into it fully. Token classification and text ranking also, I've read up on them. I don't fully understand them yet. Actually, okay, you know what? We could read them right now. So text classification, what it is, this is the most straightforward task. It involves assigning a predefined label or category to a piece of text. For example, a text classification model can take a sentence and classify it as having a positive, negative, or neutral sentiment. So sentiment analysis. So then I guess you would have to have models built for specific type of text classification, right? Because then that's going to determine what kind of labels they use. I think so. Okay, how it works. You typically use a model that has been pre-trained on a large corpus of text and then fine-tuned on a specific data set where text snippets are already labeled. There you go. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to be using models that specialize in very specific tasks. Even in text classification, they specialize in like certain topics. Oh, okay. For example, a sentiment analysis model is trained on millions of movie or product reviews labeled as positive or negative. How you can use it for your auto clippers, sentiment slash emotion analysis, and custom classifiers. If you manually create a dataset of your own clips labeled as funny, informative, rant, etc., that's a good idea actually. That's a good idea for the future. Dude, that's a great idea for the future. Hell yeah, dude. This would require me to manually label it though. Um, but keeping that in mind, yeah, I should keep like a I should keep like an extra record or something where I can manually classify clips, and I can do it like, I don't know. I'll have to see because I can assign specific labels. I still don't know what kind of classifier I'm trying to build, but then these are decent labels, funny, informative, rant, or whatever other words I can come up with. I, I don't even know what these are called. Adjectives? I don't know. Whatever other words I'm able to come up with, whatever other labels I'm able to come up with, I'll set that up, and then I can probably fine tune a model to classify a clip under that. That would definitely be interesting. I am gonna, so one of the manual things that's gonna be happening is that I'm gonna be reviewing the clips to determine, what is worth uploading. So whenever I do review the clips, um, at that time I could just make a note of the label. I could do that. Yeah. I can also come up with like a special naming scheme for my clip files. And that way, when I have like a massive data set of these clip file names, um, what was I saying? Yeah, that way when I have like a massive data set of these clip file names, where was I going with that? I forgot where I was going with that. Anyways, I'm gonna maintain like a massive data set of these clip file names and their corresponding labels. I feel like maybe at some point later I might have to do something similar to what I'm doing here, like with this content pipeline. With this content pipeline, though, it's like much longer clips, right? Much longer like videos. They're 1.5 to 2.5 hour videos usually. But with the clips, fortunately, it's much smaller. So even if I have like a collection of, I don't know, 50 clips and I split them out into, I can use this exact same logic that I've built here. Hold on. Um, Wrong thing here. I can use this exact same, um, what was I, what was I trying to show? Yeah, I can use the exact same code that I'm using here. So I can use the audio extractor to split out the audio, do like a batch split using FFmpeg. And then I can use the audio transcription thing to do like a batch transcription. And because these are going to be like, 30 seconds to 5 minutes, anywhere between 30 seconds and 5 minutes in length. So if I'm running it on the cloud, it shouldn't be nearly as heavy. As in, it shouldn't take nearly as long to do. Then um, I would also be generating the metadata. I don't think I would need to do the metadata thing in that case though. However, I could, I could, yeah, I could generate metadata. Oh, dude, what if I did that? Yeah. What if I did that? Because I kind of also want to, so I'm going to be posting this on what, um, I'm going to be posting this on what, TikTok and Instagram and Threads and Twitter, X, and on my second YouTube channel. Yeah, yeah. I was considering because the clip thing is basically going to become like clip spam. I was wondering if I should have a separate channel for clips, but then I don't know if that would just be kind of silly, having a whole separate channel for clips. Well, it could be like a clips and highlights kind of thing, but then I'm seeing very little reason for why that shouldn't go onto my second channel instead. Because my second channel was supposed to be like a creative outlet, so I can just like upload whatever I want there. And this could be some of that. Or this could be that whatever in question. Okay. Now, what was I supposed to do here? I was supposed to, yeah, I'm glad that I wrote this down before the stream. Um, I have to work on this logic where actually, am I generating? Yeah, where is this supposed to go? Because like when I'm writing, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's a very specific reason why it has to be done here. In this case, because I need to be able to, or I could just make a separate, I could make a separate script for that. It'll be kind of silly, but like, yeah, I could make a separate script for that. It'll also be a much smaller script. Yeah. You know, I could look into trying to turn each of these into like modules and then execute the script in a way that the user being me, can specify. It's just so much simpler, like executing individual scripts. Yeah, sure, there's like 4 or 5 different scripts that you'll have to execute one after the other, but like you're doing like a batch export kind of thing, right? So it's not it's not that much of a hassle. It's not that much of a pain. And the way that it's kind of interesting because like I'm building this keeping in mind that people might want to run this, or I'm building this in such a way that these scripts can be executed locally. So I'm building this keeping in mind, or with the assumption that, oh yeah, these scripts are going to be executed locally. But at the same time, I'm also making it flexible enough that I can just copy the entire data over to um, copy the entire data over to like a Jupyter Notebook cell on Kaggle, for example, and then just run the entire thing there by changing some parts and maybe 1 or 2 extra things. Just I would be able to run the code very easily. So we have multiple things here, right? Batch build bundles is going to be running locally, at least in my case. Um, Batch generate metadata is definitely going to be running on the it's going to be running in the cloud. So so here's what I could do. Here's what I could do. Let's say I wanted, because I'm using an LLM anyways, and it is generating some amount of data anyways, let's say I did want the LLM to generate a title. So it's going to generate a title for every single, metadata file that it's working on. As in, it's going to generate a video title to add within every single metadata file that it's working on. And then later on, I can decide if I want to use my own titles or if I want to go with the title that the LLM has come up with. Because like, I mean, there's, yeah, I still don't know if I want to stick with the same title or like what. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how significant my stream titles are for me. I have to sit and think about it for some time. It would make things a little more flexible. That's for sure. It would definitely make things a little more flexible if I just allowed the LLM to generate the title, and the LLM is probably going to generate something catchy, something that catches people's attention. Yeah, I could try that. I could try that. What I could do is I could set up the pipeline, because currently the metadata generation pipeline is only going to be generating the summary and the tags. I could also get it to generate a title, and then that's going to be written. That entire metadata block is going to be serialized to JSON and written to a file, and there's going to be one file for every single, video file. There's going to be one metadata file for every single video file, and then in this next stage is where we build the bundle. So what I could do is I could create an extra function here, which which would read the input. Where did I get input from? It would read the vod titles.json file. Yeah, I could create a function where it would read the input, uh, again input, the vod titles.json file, and assign those titles to the videos instead of the ones generated by the LLM. And then I can make it like optional if I want to call. So that's why I'll wrap it into a function and decide if I want to call the function or not. Okay. All right. So I need to think about what I need to work on next, because I could work on this logic, which is, for every, I mean, I'm going to work on the function anyways. I'll get Gemini to generate like the code snippet for me, and then I'll customize it to my based on my requirements, and then I'll make it like a callable function. I'll get Gemini to just generate the code. I don't even think, honestly, I don't think I need Gemini to generate anything for me, because I just need to be able to read the JSON file, which I already know how to do. I need to then be able to deserialize the JSON, already know how to do that. And then I need to compare each of the keys with each of the um, names that are in there. I basically need to check that the names list that we have, where is the names list? So we are doing this here, right? Video directory and so, and yeah. What I could do is, this is an iterator. This is an iterator that returns the video name. So I could store, this is an iterator, so maybe I could generate a list out of this. Instead of iterating over it like this, I could first generate a list out of it, and then I could iterate over that list first to check and make sure that every single name in that list has a corresponding entry in the vod titles.json file. I could do that. Yeah. And if there's an entry missing, if there's like a discrepancy between the two, then we don't proceed any further until both of them have um, matching file names. So like a matching set of file names. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Now, give me a second because I am gonna look for. No, you know what? Yes, we are going over to Louise. Louise is cool. Louise is chill. Louise is doing another working stream. Her timer just started. Uh, I think so. So she's probably not going to be chatting a whole lot, which is fine. I can like, go do the. I can like go freshen up and stuff, and then chat with her after her timer runs out. So let me set up the raid. Yeah. So she's gonna say hello, and after that get back to her thing that she's doing, and then we'll be able to chat with her like after 45 minutes. But yeah, okay, that's gonna be it for today's stream. I'm excited with this progress that I'm making, like really excited, and I'm glad that I changed it from just an auto clipper to a content pipeline because now I'm also handling the automatic upload of the VODs. And that's pretty exciting. I hope it works out because there's a chance that this entire thing might just not work out the way that I'm thinking it will work out, but I'm hoping it works out. We still have to do a ton of research on the clipping thing. I have this conversation with Gemini that I have to read because aside from these 6 NLP tasks, it also later on goes into how to go about analyzing an entire 2 hour long transcript to find, you know, various clippable chunks. More specifically, not it's not the thing of finding the chunks, it's more about like analyzing small bits of it. Like how should I go about doing that? Anyways, okay, I'm gonna stop yapping now. I hope you guys have a nice day, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.